In this Substance Painter tutorial for beginners, I will show you how I texture a stylized game asset in Substance Painter. The link to download Substance Painter is in the description. If you want to follow along, I have provided the model in FBX format that I made in Blender 2.9. The link is in the description. I start by importing the low poly medieval model. I'll use the Unreal Engine template with the 2K resolution. I click on Select and open the low poly FBX file, and then click on OK. Notice that I have a texture set list. This is because I assigned a different material to each section of the model. This is an alternative way to using an ID map that will allow you to work on separate parts of the mesh. Now I need to bake the maps. Under the Texture Set Settings tab, I scroll down to the Mesh Maps section and click on Bake Mesh Maps. In the baking window, I unchecked ID since I won't be baking this map for this project. And I also add the high poly mesh to the high definition mesh so I can use it to bake the normals. I'll be using the 2K option, which is 2048, and click on Bake Selected Textures. Now I will start working on the door. So I hide everything except for the door. I open the Smart Materials shelf. And add the wood walnut to the layer stack. I open the material folder and I lighten the base color. Then I change the opacity of the wood fibers. I select the dirt generator of the Grunge Pass mask and lower the dirt level. I also select the wood fibers too and lighten the base color. I add a fill layer to the top of the stack and rename it Door Edge. And I change the base color to a light brown. I turn off the metal channel and I add a white mask. I right-click on the white mask and add a generator. And I choose the metal edge wear generator. I select the generator and change the grunge scale. And the grunge amount. Now I'll start working on the hinges and the knob. So I hide everything except for the hinges and the knob. I select the hinge. In the Smart Materials shelf, I add the iron old to the layer stack. I open the material folder and I darken the base color. And I also darken the fill for the edges. I also increase the roughness. And I decrease the metallic. Then I copy the iron old material and paste it on the knob and the ring. Now I move on to the steps. I hide everything except for the steps. I add a fill layer to the top of the stack. And I change the base color to a darker gray. And I increase the roughness. I also turn off the metal channel. I add a second layer for the curvature. I turn off the metal channel and I increase the roughness. I add a black mask. I right click on the black mask and add a generator. I search for curvature. And choose the curvature generator. And then I lower the opacity. I add a new fill layer for the dirt. I add a black mask. I right click on the mask and add a generator. I search for dirt. And choose the dirt generator. I increase the dirt contrast. And I increase the grunge scale. I also increase the edges masking. I now move on to the stone door frame. I hide everything except for the frame. I add a fill layer to the top of the stack. And change the base color to a mid-gray. And I increase the roughness. I add a second layer for the curvature. I turn off the metal channel and increase the roughness. I add a black mask. I right click on the mask and add a generator. Search for curvature. And choose the curvature generator. I change the blend mode to screen. I add a new fill layer for dirt. And I choose the Dirt 1 brush. I turn off the metal channel, turn up the roughness, and change the color to a dark gray. I add a black mask and begin painting the dirt onto the frame. I then choose the Dirt 2 brush. I increase the spacing and add more dirt. After I finish painting the dirt onto the frame, I change the blend mode to inverse divide. And this will lighten the dirt and make it very subtle. I also decrease the opacity. If you make a material that you want for your future projects, make a new folder and place all the layers within that folder. Then right-click on the folder and choose Create Smart Material. And the material will be saved on your shelf. I am then ready to export the maps and use them in another 3D package. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Have a good day.